Yeah, Nashville, America, we have a problem. Okay, um, black community, we have a problem. Those who say you support trans or you don't mind what somebody else do, but you have to call out, that there is a problem if somebody is trans. There is a mental issue if somebody is LGBT, etc., etc. And like I said before, I said, I was on the live earlier, and it was a very good live. Two-way, an instructor, went in about some real good stuff. Love this. I love this brother. I love his content. Even right now, I don't really hold nothing against him. Uh, but the individual he had on the show, you know, they both, kind of agreed and all that, whatever, with their take on it. And I saw it coming. And it's really something that when I said the comment about that, because they were saying that they was, they support, people who are LGBT and all that, or they don't really mind however you want to say it, right? But I said, I advocate for trans women to arm themselves. Is why, yeah, and it didn't really dawn on me that it really didn't. I gotta say register that the individual who did this was trans because it's something that you probably never heard. I think it's probably the first time it's ever happened, and it's something that you kind of think will come, but not probably come in your time. That such an act ever occurred. But it's like certain people on the left side are very desperate to get a certain reaction that they want to try to get people on the right to say no, we got to get rid of all of that right wing. Like this is what they're trying to do. It seems like it seems to me because at this time, why would someone who obviously had a trainer who's trans come in and do something like that? But I went to my other live of how they was living with their mother, and the mother was an activist against the two-way, strong activist against guns. The mother, Audrey Hale's mother was a Norma Hale, or how I'm the name Hale was against anything really gun related, really, as far as access and own. So how your son live with you at 28 years old and have those guns? I guess it was in the house. I don't know. But what I want to say is that yeah, a lot of people, certain people, feel like that being trans is really the mental issue. That's what I was getting from what they were saying live. Like if you're trans or you're LGBT, that that is the mental issue. That is the mental issue. That's why we have a mental issue in this country because when people tell you why do they feel the way they feel, well, it's always due to a mental issue. It's not due to because of you know. And to be fair, to be honest, like I say, if your brain, especially with trans, if your brain doesn't align with your body, that will cause some issues here and there, but not to the degree that what we see here. That's some other stuff going on. All right, that's not just because you're trans. Trans people have existed on this planet in many different cultures throughout history by different names and were widely accepted and celebrated before European colonization. Okay, North American Indians, two spirited people of North American Indians. Look up two spirited people, North American Indians. The Yandudu of northern Nigeria, the the Mehu of Mexico, Muxes of Mexico. They still exist there today. Okay, I think it's the Coyote or Thailand, the Hijras of India, ancient India, etc., etc., etc. The Ashtam of Ethiopia, the Seket of ancient Egypt. All right, most coaches knew three or up to five. Indonesia had up to five genders. So this mental illness existed in the earth thousands of years before European colonization. Most places in Africa never had no anti-gay law, no anti-cross dressing, none of that law. And there's still 10 countries in Africa to this day that doesn't have that. And those 10 countries were the most fiercest when it came to fighting against the colonizers. But places like Uganda, that was colonized, took those laws they got from the British against the gatekeepers. That's what they're known in most parts of Africa, as far as universal. There's different tribal names for them here in America, but it was just, you could just say two-spirited people. Gatekeeper or gatekeeper people of Africa. Like I say, Ashtam, Seket, different, but under the umbrella of being a gatekeeper. They took that to the T. So they used those laws to oppress the people that was highly celebrated, highly was looked at closer to God, who would tell the people when it's time to war, this is how you must prepare, right? Etc., 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 etc. Who also kept the man and woman together because there was in between two realms, the spiritual and the physical, the male and female embodied into one, which is that God energy. Because we all consist of a little bit of male and female hormones. Okay? And so somebody who's embodied with that masculine frame, but feminine, genetically feminine, or vice versa, was celebrated. So there's many articles, there's many books by many scholars on this. So when one's trying to attack or try to say that, well, this is one of the mental health issues that so many people saying that they identify other than what they was born as. Like I said, they're still stuck into, I guess, the 1700s America. They don't know America prior to that when it came to sex and gender. And then for ones of us who want to claim Native American, right? We want to claim Seminole. We want to claim Cherokee. We want to claim. But you have an issue with accepting that two-spirited people is a part of your heritage too. Or it's the Bible called eunuchs, Cyrus in the Hebrew. Isaiah 56, 3 and 5. Matthew 19 and 12. And by most scholars, ancient scholars, eunuchs were seen as a third gender, what we know as third gender, or what we even know today as trans or GNC, however you want to say, but a gender variant person nonetheless. And they were known to have sex with men. I've done a video, brought that out. I can easily get the video. I have people who want to share it. I don't know if it's up on TikTok, but I got on YouTube. It goes into all the scholars from Flavors Josephus on that. I could be here all day. But what I want to say is that the day has come. And I don't want anyone who already have malice, but I mean, if you have malice in your heart, you have it anyway. Hatred in your heart. But those who know better, try not to put out such rhetoric as if, this is what's behind people doing what they're doing. It's trans being a mental health issue, not people who are trans. It's just like saying, well, black people is crazy. Why are black people crazy? It's because we was born black. It's because that we want to speak English. It's because we want to speak in a native tongue. It's because slavery. Maybe that has something to do with it. So why are trans people having mental health issues? Is it because they're trans, or is it because they are going through some things? Still no justification for none of these acts, but it's just saying. So, you find yourself in between, because I feel like a person is as me, and I feel like I have to do this not alone, because I'm not alone. You're never alone. But I found myself in between two worlds of the two-way world, America, let's go, whatever. Even when I say America, you know what I'm saying, American, America, let's go, And then you're like, yeah, trans, trans. My wife is trans. And to try to somehow, I guess, unite, because, most people from the pro 2A side have, not everyone, but certain people, a lot of people have their own viewpoint against, trans, LGBT. For a long while, those LGBT were kind of more anti-gun, but starting to become more pro-gun and even pro 2A. uh, it's like they just needed someone that people could justify. Because when I remember in the early days, I used to be on Facebook. Those on Facebook, that one of the biggest arguments is where you don't see LGBT people going in schools and doing stuff like this. Trans people doing stuff like this. And now look where we're at. Look what's happening. So it's beyond, oh, well, they're trying to teach our children. We're trying to keep our children safe and teach our children about this sexual stuff. Now they're just going in, and it's just one of those things. It's like, where I don't, want ones to look at the average or try to bundle up the average trans identifying or trans loving individual as some people who want to do harm to children in that manner. Because we see what's going on in Uganda. Anybody who identifies as LGBT is basically hunted down. All right, it's basically hunted down. So it get to the point of all it took was one individual to bump into or grab a white lady, a white girl, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they bombed Black Wall Street. That's all it took, was for one white girl to get harmed and say that one black dude did something to her. Not everybody is being bombed on. So it's like they're trying to do this with the shooting in Tennessee. I don't want it to be that kind of situation where all it took is just one. And I pray that this is it. I hope there's no more of anyone, no school shooting by anyone. But I hope that it's, because it's just like a so-called black. You would say, well, you could just look up and just kind of knows that shooter was not black. But then we're starting to see shooters that look like us. People who are doing certain acts, certain chopping up their wife. I mean, doing all kind of stuff. You could say, well, black people don't do no stuff like that. Don't be eating nobody's, you know what I'm saying? We don't do no, stuff like that, right? So they would use to justify coming after us. So if you, as a so-called black person, can't see yourself, and in this, like, you know what, they could use this to try to come after black LGBT people, and you call yourself, a sympathizer, or you just cool with uh with those who are trans, LGBT, and you don't see how this is just one individual. This is not mental health as far as being trans. That this trans individual has some serious mental health issues, and trans was not the reason for it. It was not the cause of the mental health. Because it seemed like that's where you want. And if, like I said, you see it that way, you see it that way. Hey, it is what it is. But I just wanted, man, just to say that, put it out there, man. Just my brothers and sisters who are trans, as a cis brother, was married to a black trans woman, and it's crazy because they don't never really talk about the trans people that people look to for help, that people look to and run to when they need someone to do stuff that other people can't do. That's my wife. When she goes to work, that's what people look at her. They say, well, you should be in a high position. People in my family, so the ones who have the story of trans women and men who do great things, who are police officers, Columbia, etc., etc. Bless, Mia Milo, who are police officers, who are governors in India, mayors in India, who do great things. And for many people, where's that same energy? That brother that was on that live, and if he sees this, I hope he does. Where is that energy for the trans people who have done so many great things? And is mental health ever an issue? them doing great things, being great poets, being great doctors, lawyers, being able through all the adversity to be able to come the first is mental health. Is them being trans behind the reason for them to do great things? Or is it because, oh, well, people just felt sorry for them because it was trans? People look to them as keeping the family together. People look at her as, you know what, I see a lot of my mother in them. I see a lot of my father in him. In that trans man, I see a lot of my father in him. Welcome to the family. What about those videos? Oh, if a black woman, a black trans woman go beat up on a cis woman, y'all can talk about that. See, you see, I told you. But if they hugging and saying, "You my sister, I love you," where's the energy? Where is the energy? So, like I said, I hope so. Y'all doing what white people do. Y'all claim that y'all, but you're taking one white trans individual and you're trying to tie that into saying, well, there's a mental health issue, and this is why this stuff is happening in these schools because they're attacking the children with the drag queens. They're attacking. Yeah, now they're coming in with the because the mental health. All this stuff is mental health. It's crazy. You know, you want to indoctrinate the children. So now you want to take out the children. You can't indoctrinate them in the schools because you got these states saying you can't have in school. So now you're going to try, you're spinning it like that. And like I said before, earlier in this live, I said it again. There are people on the left who use LGBT to carry out some dirty stuff. But is that everyone? Is that a majority of trans and LGBT people? No. Every day who just go to work, come back, go to work, come back, go to work, come back. That's it. Okay? Not doing nothing to no one's children, not harming anyone, just minding their business. Drinking water, minding their business, and loving who they love. That's it. So yeah, I'm it's just like even though people can say that they are for or they are I don't what people do what they want to do, but when they make statements and do stuff like that, it just shows that they still try to hold on to uh, uh, an idea of a totally straight are totally just only, I guess, one or just two gender America. And we all say, yeah, there's only two genders. But within that, there are other genders in that, those two genders. Trans, other cultures, we'll put it like this. There's still two genders, but there are also people that were born who was assigned the wrong gender at birth who have to transition to their gender. So in that, you do have a little bit of a spectrum, a little bit more of a spectrum. And of course, with sex, there is a spectrum. So the dude on there, he even knew that gender was a social construct. And these are both good firearm instructors. One I know for a fact, he's a very good firearm instructor. Like I said, I'm between two of these worlds. But the other one was just like, both in the military, was in the military. But both, when the guy he had on said that, yeah, I said, okay, yeah, we own some, at least he know that. So I kind of, stick around, say what I say. And he said what he said. I was like, yeah, like, okay, so where do we get all these other genders and all that? I said, okay, so if gender is a social construct, then just two sexes. Yeah, like he said, gender construct, but the two sexes. And where we got it? I said, oh man, here we go, here we go. It's still you're kind of close, but you're still not bringing the fish, bring it all the way back in. You're just not, and it's like here we go again. And so I just dropped in the live. I said, because I was giving some good information. I said, okay, I would just put it like this. But I just said in the live about the history before European colonization, trans people that existed throughout the world went by different names, that they existed 1,000 years before European colonization. I went to the Yandudu, the Mushe, Mexico, such a two-spirited people of the North American Indians. Just look it up, such, look up this, that. I'm out. Peace. All right. That's it. So I understand, not wanting to teach explicit things to children in elementary school. Totally against that. That makes sense. But some ones of y'all are against just the idea of trans people fighting, a trans man fighting in the Civil War. All right. children learning about that who probably identify with being trans, who probably might think they might, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, or queer, or whatever, who have that history. So you complain about it when white people say, when DeSantis and all them, and I'm in Florida, when DeSantis and all them say, you know what? Oh, we don't want that diversity because it is a very broad, a vague in the law of diversity programs and this, that, and the other. Like, okay, what was he talking about? Talking about y'all, the Black Greek fraternities and sororities who have diversity, getting rid of, and diversity just can mean anything. It can mean diversity in your hair, diversity accepting people, diverse religious backgrounds. So they want this all white Christian uh, America, and you don't fit in it. But you complain when they say, "Hey, get that out of here. We don't want that critical race theory, all that. We don't need. Get it out of here." But when it comes to critical trans reality or theory or history, oh well, we're indoctrinating people and this, that, and the other. We're trying to teach that, you know, and none of y'all want to go into the two-spirited people, North American Indians. None of y'all want to deal with the Yandudu or Northern Nigeria. You know why? Because even elders Northern Nigeria don't want to get into that. But the young people in Nigeria are learning about it. And they just passed a law recently in Nigeria that you can't cross-dress in public and this, that, and other. And that affects the Yandudu of Northern Nigeria because that's a big cultural thing, okay, in the northern region, all right? So other regions, they have, tried to get away from their past of accepting trans, but, you still find men dealing with the Yandudu, right? And you have ones, it's books on it. I got, I could show y'all so much stuff on the books that's written about Yandudu of Northern Nigeria and the history and the accounts of many Westerners and even people of Africa going to Nigeria, seeing, brothels of, as you would call a lady man, a lady, but whatever you want to say, right? We could be here all day. So most places in Africa did not have no law against it. Did not until European colonization to the 1800s. So I want y'all with that same energy to say that, to mention that when y'all try to come for LGBT people in schools, to school yourself and to school us on what was going on sexually and gender-wise in Africa and most other indigenous places on this earth prior to the 15, 16, 17, and 1800s. But most definitely, so these Victorian laws, the anti-buggering laws, or the buggery laws, excuse me, when did Jamaica get that from? Where did they get that from? And what was Black Jamaicans doing prior to that law going into effect? What kind of rituals they had that involved a two-spirited individual? And what was going on? Who was God speaking of when he said eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake that keep his laws and commandments? What did they look like? Oh, a eunuch is somebody who got their private member taken away. And if you do believe in circumcision, circumcision is a surgery done on a child that removes that part that they was born with, but you're supposed to take it away. God does change people's names. Or you could change your name into this, that, and the other. You're going to always be. The Most High changed Sarah's name. Abram to Abraham, etc., etc., etc. Jacob to Israel. We'll be here all day. And if you look up Sarah from prince to princess, for those who really study the Hebrew, Sarah, prince to princess. Yeah, you know what time it is. I'm finna bring it. Shout out, yeah, keep dropping that knowledge. I will. Sarah to Sarah, prince to princess. And she had her name changed. The only woman in the Bible. And I could bring that video out. It was a Gentile woman who went into that. I did my own research. She stays on that. It's fact. To Sarah, that Sarah was the only woman in the Bible whose age was recorded when she passed away. The only woman that gives example for the daughters of Israel to be like. Also, not only did she give Abraham, say, hey, take my maidservant. Also, the same time that Abraham was circumcised, name changed, got her name changed. Around that same time. So, peep that. And then Sarah had an issue with what? Getting pregnant. Now, y'all can come at me if you want to. I want the smoke. Y'all can say blasphemy. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. But they say a lot of that when you do actually do research. A lot of people thought it was blasphemy to say that you was a black Hebrew, that you was a Hebrew, and you had skin like this until you actually did your research. So I'm not saying that she was. I'm just saying there's a strong possibility that she was. And we know about Daniel. Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and the bad Negro, who they was under, the eunuch, the prince of the eunuchs. And what happened? What was the prophecy that was going to happen to Judah during that time? That those that was taken, that their sons will what be made eunuchs in the king courts, right? Okay, in Babylon and all. So yeah, and we do know that eunuchs did have sex with kings. That all I got it. I got it. I got the information. Anybody see this live, I could bring it to you. Look up Flavus Josephus eunuchs. Look up Philo of Alexandria and eunuchs. Jewish historians that wrote about what happened during those times. And there's pagan, there's many ones. I have brought this out. So I want y'all to do y'all research, man, because like I say, I didn't have this knowledge all the time. I was had my strong beliefs, and then you can see even say convictions on things. But I still had a special place in my heart for the truth and for, you know, well, you can say more of a loving place uh, for trans women. But I guess it was much easier to accept it, but I just wanted it. And when you get it, you get it, you understand it. But yeah, man, that's all I kind of want to say right now, man. Don't let what one person do cause you to do a Black Wall Street on on trans people or Black trans people. All right, because you didn't like that with one, Black guy or what's going on even with was it Jonathan Majors? You only take one time to mess up as a Black man, and so okay. So just like I say, and also before I close out, the ones who also say that, for ones who also say that they're depolicing Black men when it comes to this passport and the manosphere. They're depolicing Black men. Black men can't go overseas and get the women that we want. They want to keep us here and all this stuff. We can't go. They say that we're the trash, we're the this, we're the that. And I mentioned this before years ago that every time, one of the main reasons why people have an issue with Black men dating trans women, because they're always trying to police our penises. No matter if we with a white woman, Black woman, we have a blow up dog. They always trying to police us or who we're effing with. And if we're not effing with you, why effing with us? But so I still want come with that same rhetoric or the same story again, same tale again. Recently on one of the Minister Lives, and I said only if y'all could apply that to when it comes to trans attracted men, as myself, or bisexual men, or straight men who who are straight but who also like trans women. If y'all could just put that and say, well, you have ones in the Black community doing the same thing. Okay, if you agree what's going on over there in Uganda, oh yeah, you're depolicing. So if you say, well, I don't agree with it, hey, to each his own, okay, and I don't agree with that in Uganda, like, hey, I don't, if you're a person who say, well, I'm not pro LGBT or I don't believe in, doing that, but I'm definitely not about, hunting down somebody because, okay. But if you say, yeah, we need that in Uganda, we need that over here in America, or yeah, kudos Uganda, yeah, stand up, yeah, keep it African, where the goddamn law came from the British. They had a dude actually read the article where it said the law came from the British, but yet he's still looking at Uganda as being a very pro-African country. Like they holding on to the law of the British, like okay. Anyway, that they're somehow keeping it African. No, dude, that's keeping it British. That law they get comes from the British. That law to attack Black LGBT, and like I say, they have no smoke for the white boy, that white veteran pastor that went into the hotel and just tore their behinds up, tried to disarm their policemen. They just gave him a slap on the wrist, assault and malicious damage. But they didn't threaten him with no death penalty. And he was calling nigger bees and all kind of stuff, hitting him upside the head, threatening to kill him, all because of a goddamn room key. I think his name is Jimmy Taylor. Jimmy Taylor, I think he's from America, U.S. veteran who was drunk and threatening and doing the whole nine. So where's the threat then? But anyway, that's what I want to say, man. Hey, y'all be good out there and try to love one another. And the Most High got y'all. This is a test. And laugh now, cry later. Cry now, laugh later. The Most High got this, y'all. Y'all be good. All the units out there. Love you. Shalom.